Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a local farmer and her family stay hopeful on their long journey to repair and recovery after losing so much to floodwaters. And school bands across our region receive some extra help to bring new students into their programs.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Oh, good morning to you. It's Wednesday and it's 6:32. I'm Dakota Makris. Thanks so much for waking up with us. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And Brandon, there's been times, if you can pop up, I don't know where you are. There you are.
Here I am.
There's been times I think to myself, I wonder how many times I've said my name since working here. Like just randomly think about it. And I asked Evan one time, he said, too many to count.
Hey, probably, actually.
And I thought, you know what, let me go back and I'm gonna start counting.
You know what, I think what we should do, we should count up all the days you have been in the newscast here, and we'll try to figure that number out.
Every single day.
Hey, well, not every day. You were
That's
off
true.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know. So we'll see. We'll see if we can figure it out.
All right.
All right. Forecast this morning. Let's try to figure that out. But today, not too much to figure out early. We see again the light try to come up in the sky there, just a little bit on top of Winesburg Pine Mountain as we go into the 6:30 half hour here. Not too much traffic up there on US 119. Temperatures still a little bit on the chilly side in most spots, but again, temperatures climbing pretty quickly this morning. 30s kind of surrounding the borders. Ashland, Grundy, Clintwood, Jonesville, Middlesboro, and Jacksboro. Also Manchester, the only interior 30 there, but everybody else is in the 40s and 50s this morning. Again, some degrees colder than it was this time yesterday in many locations, but 7 degrees warmer in Somerset, 2 degrees warmer in Wise, and exactly where it was this time yesterday in Jackson. So your breakfast forecast, if you're pouring yourself some frosted weather wheat, it's not going to be too bad. Close to 50 out there. We're trying to balance out the difference there because we're mid-50s, mid-30s, upper 30s. So we're going to try to go 50 this morning because temperatures are going up. And then again, they'll go up pretty quickly as the sun starts to come up here in just a little bit. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. A local farmer and her family who live along Highway 476 in Perry County have been feeding people with a purpose for 8 years now. And the owner says despite all they've gone through over the years, it's believed you can never have too many second chances. Our Olivia Calfee shares their story.
Missy Young says there is nothing better than growing food and feeding bellies. But her answer may have been different if you ask 11 years ago.
Today, I'm 11 years in recovery from opiate addiction.
A few years into recovery, Young says she found her purpose through farming and sharing it with the community.
I realized pretty early on that that helped me focus. And then when I started working with the market, I realized I could do something productive and I could actually be part of the community and do something, do something good.
Naming the farm Second Chance Homestead for many reasons, but she says one thing stands out the most.
We only keep what we have by giving it away. If I want to keep the peace that I found, I got to share that with somebody else. And that's ultimately my mission here, is maybe to bring another woman in recovery over here and let her get her hands in the dirt.
But on July 28, 2022, Troublesome Creek waters rose. And in a matter of minutes, Young and her daughter watched everything she had worked so hard to grow float away.
It basically brought us back down to, it took us 8 years of working this property to end up with, the equipment that we had and the things to actually make our jobs doable. We're starting from ground zero again.
Losing their barn, greenhouses, multiple gardens. But Young says many people lost more than they did.
It's tough.
We can get it back.
Right, we can get it back and we can always start over. There's always a second chance to do that again.
Proving to the world that recovery is possible, no matter the addiction or flood standing in the way. Because sometimes the hardest storms plant seeds in the coolest places.
You're gonna have tomato plants coming up everywhere over there.
Oh yeah.
I swear I think I'd just about let one little patch just stay wild.
Well, that was Olivia Calfee reporting. Young and her daughter say the seeds they sowed last year were scattered throughout the property while they are currently growing a lot of their plants inside under lights and will start planting outside when it gets warmer, but they don't know where else their plants may take root. The Magoffin County High School Band Program is just one of the countless music programs across the Commonwealth that is doing what it can to make ends meet. But a recent grant is helping the band to change its tune. Through the Mr. Hollins Opus Foundation, the Magoffin County High School Band is receiving $46,000 worth of instruments. The band's director, Austin Pence, says this can help to bring in more members and give the band the competitive edge it needs to excel.
It's very helpful because with the resources I had prior, in order to give the students the opportunities that they need to be competitive for pursuing music in any capacity, in college, as a hobby, whatever, we just didn't have the resources to do that.
Other schools across the region that were also awarded this opportunity include Painesville Independent, Phelps High School, Valley Elementary School, and Science Hill Independent School. The American Psychiatric Association reports out of the 41,000 psychiatrists in this country, African Americans make up 2% of that population. With such low numbers, African Americans who are seeking mental health therapy are having trouble getting matched up with providers who look like them. Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw talked with a psychologist at EKU about the issue.
Just wanted to kind of introduce myself again. My name is Cherish Harris.
Harris is an EKU grad student clinician in the psychology department.
I find myself kind of rambling in a session.
Marcus is an EKU student seeking therapy.
Like, I don't like being the center of attention. It makes me anxious.
We listen in on their session. Marcus says life has become too overwhelming. Bad grades, stressful job, and a sick grandmother.
So being able to have that level of rapport with the client is definitely important.
Marcus, who is African American, says he feels more comfortable seeking mental health therapy from someone with a similar background.
But I have had one African American woman who was my counselor, and she was pretty awesome. Like, having that interaction, it felt like I was talking to one of my aunties.
Marcus says if he had a white therapist, the communication wouldn't go as smoothly.
It's more of like, I feel like I have to watch what I say. I don't want to come off as racist or say something insensitive.
The overall population, as of 2022, is 13% African American, and 16% of those people will say that they have had some severe deficit in maybe having mental illness or something. So that's 7 million people that probably are not getting the services they need.
Harris says the number of black patients seeking mental health therapy far outweighs the number of black mental health providers. On this day, Harris was the only African American student we saw in the EKU Psychology Clinical Training Program. The department has 58 students. 3 of them are African American, 2 women, 1 man. When Harris graduates, she wants to go back home to Louisville and help the underserved population.
Being able to have somebody that looks like you, I think, is immediately like a reassurance to know that, okay, I'm with somebody that knows what it's like and can also have that care and concern for me in that regard.
Why aren't more African Americans in the profession?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons.
Dr. Teresa Botts is the director of the EKU Psychology Clinic. She says throughout history, the field has had a negative stigma within the African American community.
We have a somewhat slight increase in numbers of folks seeking degrees in clinical and counseling psychology.
Dr. Botts wants to go into the black community and recruit more African Americans into the mental health provider pipeline.
We're reaching out to churches and various organizations to try and help them become more informed.
Well, I want to find solutions. How do I go about solving this problem?
Marcus's session is coming to an end. He just hopes when he graduates, he can find another therapist with shared life experiences. In Richmond, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Marcus believes there are a lot of talented African Americans that would be a good fit as mental health providers, but he says there are some educational barriers that have become obstacles. The Pike County Fiscal Court held a meeting in Phelps Tuesday evening to discuss the need for an ambulance service in the community. County leaders, emergency services managers, and people throughout the county came together to discuss the issue as well as potential solutions. At the meeting, the Fiscal Court and Lifeguard Ambulance Service, which is based in Pikeville, came to an agreement and a short-term solution to help lessen the time it takes for help to respond to the community.
The Fiscal Court is going to buy a small trailer to put on county property to where we can base an ambulance crew, that they would have sleeping quarters, those kind of things, and to be dispatched out of. So we think that getting an ambulance here, Lifeguard is committed that if we find a place to put the crew, that they'll base an ambulance here.
Some community members in attendance added they have experienced wait times of up to 2 hours for EMS to arrive and say something must be done.
6:41 here on this Wednesday morning. We continue to watch again the possibility for some colder to warmer temperatures across our region this morning. We are looking at 30s and 40s and 50s out there. 30s kind of surrounding the edges there, some of those sheltered valleys. But you got those 50s inland there for the most part. Out the door forecast, we're going to be seeing temperatures soar into the mid-70s this afternoon. If we get past 75, which I don't think we will, if we do though, 77 is the record, both at the National Weather Service office at Jackson and the London Corbin Airport. So if we get above that, it's going to be a very overachieving day. But I think that if we get there, we'll tie those two records. And again, it's going to be a mild afternoon because of some southwest winds. Sun and clouds during the day. Rain chances tonight. Dakota?
Thanks so much. Well, the time is 6:42. Still to come here on Mountain News this morning. Two groups of scientists are concerned about the possible effects of the train derailment in Ohio that could have on people living around the area.